Hello there. I'm Squire Callahan Ridgeborn, almost a battlemaster, always a wizard, and tonight I'm joined by Rygan Wynnewood. Welcome to the show, Rygan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So glad to have you on tonight. I want to just jump right in. What brought you into Amtgard? How did you get started?
Back in 2013, me and my friend, he found our local group in Louisville, Maddox Keep at the time, and he's like, "This looks cool. Let's go." And we went, and I've been hooked ever since. So yeah.
That's great. Does your friend still play?
Nope, he did not stick around very long.
What's a fun fact about you?
A fun fact about me?
Mhm.
Hmm. I am kind of definitely a big nerd. I'd say I do like the trifecta of nerdness of LARP, World of Warcraft, and Dungeons and Dragons. I guess I've added Warhammer to that as well.
Oh,
So
you've gone fully off the deep end, my friend.
yeah,
What Warhammer faction do you play?
I play Necron.
Okay. Fully into the Warhammer deep end then.
Yeah.
All right. Reagan, what's your favorite kind of battle game?
My favorite kind of battle game. I like battle games that are on a timer more than uh, an instant objective with rounds. Usually 15 to 20-minute games, usually either a node control or some sort of timed objective. I like the longer games more than like the instant win and reset.
Okay. So, what made you start playing Monk?
Okay, so back when I started, I don't even know exactly what drew me to Monk. I started in V7, the tail end of V7, and Monk uh, seemed the coolest at the time. I got multiple kinds of weapons. They had cool abilities like Touch of Death that just you touch someone and you say Touch of Death and they are dead.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Transfer life, back when lives uh, were per class. You could transfer your life to someone else. And just the aesthetic I enjoyed. I also liked polearm and bowstaff, and so it was also a monk aesthetic.
Okay. Why do you love the Monk class so much now?
Now I like it for um, the it's a hybrid support uh, martial class. It's got healing, resurrect, and then also the built-in ignore magic
Hmm.
um, with enlightened soul, and so it's kind of allows me to do what I enjoy in most fantasy games, which is a hybrid between martial and support. So yeah,
Okay. What do you think makes Monk really unique in Amtgard?
monk. Uh, Currently, most people gravitate towards monk um, because of the enlightened soul.
Hmm.
It's the only class that has that innately. You can ignore essentially all magic, and I feel like that is um, a big draw to the class. And uh, one thing that I use one shoot, I'm trying to how to say this, and one what the way I use enlightened soul is I take since I cannot be taken out by verbal magic. I focus on a lot of field positioning and force people to either have to deal with me in melee or it's hard to take out a monk with magic, crowd control, and all that. And so it forces people to deal with me uh, in melee.
Okay. So, with the Enlightened Soul as a trait, you're immune to verbals at range greater than touch. I think that's the actual verbiage of that. If I've got it
Yeah,
pulled
you
up
are
here.
immune to verbal magic at the range greater than touch. Magic is important because um, extraordinary abilities will still affect you.
Right. So, as far as like actual magic that can affect a monk, it's mostly limited to things that affect your weapon or are targeting like the enchantments that you're wearing or things like that. I actually recently found out when talking to Watt about Scout that some of the Scout EX abilities actually still work on monks.
Yes, tracking specifically
Mhm.
can remove a monk from insubstantial. And I kind of think, is that the only ranged EX ability I think they have?
I
Um,
am not 100% certain on that. That's what I was going to
but
ask you. Is there any
yeah,
other EXs out there that are hiding around?
there are just recently monks banish is EX, so a
Hmm.
monk can banish another monk.
Okay.
And then with the new archetype medium, monk gets sever spirit, which is also EX, so therefore will also affect a monk. Some two that are also not as well realized. Assassinate is a ranged verbal that is EX, so it affects monk, and brutal strike is a ranged verbal that affects monk as well.
Okay. So there's actually a lot more that hits monk than I had initially realized.
So,
That.
and then of course you have the ones that will bypass immunities completely, like uh, Sever Spirit
Mhm.
and Sever Spirit. The dispel portion of it will always bypass it, um, and then dispel magic will always just ignores immunities.
Right. Which it's got to for the balance.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you just stack every enchantment you can find on that poor monk and turn them loose.
monk is a very good enchantment target anyway.
Absolutely. So, looking at monk, what abilities and how does monk overlap with other classes? If I have like transferable skills, what does monk do that other people are also doing if they wanted to transfer into monk?
So Paladin is another like melee support hybrid as well as healer, since both of them have the heals, especially if you're doing medium monk, which gets that chargeable heal and uh, 2 swifts per life. That would be one transition into it. And recently, if you're doing like evoker wizard or play a wizard with spell balls, mystic monk would be another path inward, since Mystic Monk now gets 4 force bolts and 2 suppression bolts.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that on the like support to like combat line, like over here at mostly support is healer and over here at mostly martial is paladin and then monk is somewhere in the middle between the two?
Yes, it also depends on the archetype you take
Mm-hmm.
for monk, whether you want to go more martial or more support as well.
Okay. What roles does monk fill particularly well on the field?
So roles, monk is a great um, skirmisher and flanker. The base monk getting 1 point of armor definitely helps them more with that. Going Florentine um, or even now like a great sword,
Mm-hmm.
having that 1 point of armor allows you to flank and harass and skirmish very well. And sanctuary will allow you to get out when needed. Heal will help you heal your own wounds if yeah. That so that's one role. Another role that I also enjoy would be a um, a midline pole monk.
Okay.
Is really great in line fighting. It's hard to take out the monk with crowd control. If you have supporting uh, casters that can release heat weapons or mend shattered weapons, that'll keep you on the front line as well. Just standing behind a warrior or paladin shield line. That's another role. And then with the new medium monk archetype, a midline support is really good. Having chargeable heals, swift heals, Swift Resurrects, Chargeable Resurrects is a really good midline healer to keep people in the fight.
Okay. So Monk really can get around quite a bit with its flexibility where it wants to be on the field. All right. What is the a bit like what class ability of Monk do you like the best?
The class ability that I like the best.
Mm-hmm.
Sanctuary has a lot of shenanigan potential that I really enjoy. Going in and out of Sanctuary, waiting in the back line for people to drop their guard. Now that Monk also has innate once per life, they can enter somewhere with Sanctuary, do what they need to do, and then innate Sanctuary if they ever need to get out. Leaving weapons across the field is a very common tactic with that, so that you can always just pick up one of your weapons wherever you go, do some damage, and then can get out with the second Sanctuary that life.
Okay.
See some other other abilities that I enjoy. It's always fun to block arrows, spell balls, throwing weapons with your weapons and hands without penalty. It's always cool when you just do a quick turnaround when someone's throwing something, block it immediately. That is always fun. And then with Banish, sending insubstantial people away.
Right, back to
Um,
their base
yep,
there.
yep, very common. I do it all the time for assassins or anyone that has teleported in, whether it be someone teleporting in a like a heavy fighter or a wizard. Just send them away because I don't want you back here.
Okay. What class ability that Monk has do you like the least?
The least. So this is a tough one. Monks don't have a lot of abilities. They have recently gotten more with the changes just the past couple years. It's not an ability per se, but uh, personally, I don't bring a lot of. I don't like to carry a lot of equipment, and the heavy throne I find myself not using as much because I might have one on me, but with the heavy throne, it can be cumbersome to carry
Yeah.
3, 5 of them to kind of be effective. I know a lot of other people who uh, get a lot of effectiveness with it. They usually have better heavy throne tech, some way to carry it, or the way it's designed makes it easier to carry. But yeah, heavy throne would probably be the lowest on my list of monk things that I use personally.
Okay. So, fairly recently, Monk got a pretty big change, in my opinion. Magic Ball Block got moved from being your sixth level capstone ability all the way down to being your like level one, just part of missile block. That felt like a really big change. I play wizard, and so spell balls are a big part of my kit, and I was kind of surprised to learn that monks didn't get that until sixth level because it just feels like part of what they already had. How has that affected the monk meta, if at all?
Moving it to another spot didn't really affect the meta that much because a lot of places, at least in the Rising Winds, will have people playing at sixth level most of the time. But what it did allow was it opened up a um, essentially a sixth level ability to replace it with. And I think that has affected things more than merging the two together.
Because they gave you an
So,
innate per life, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but that seems really lame as a
so,
capstone ability.
it's funny because the rules rep at the time we were talking about monk and everything, and some of the options for another ability that the rules rep organizers brought up was like it was a poll. It's like, what would you rather have as a 6th level ability? Another heal per life, another resurrect per refresh, another use of sanctuary, another use of banish, and it was just like, well, why have that? It's essentially just, or then one of the option was, or at level 6 you pick one of those.
That's the same as
Uh,
so innate is the better
and
of all of
and
those.
they were like they joked as like might as well just give them an 8, and they liked it, and that's what they did. I think it does work, allowing them to have that flexibility. Like I said, the innate using innate on sanctuary, so you have essentially 2 per life. Or if you are doing that support, doing an innate resurrect on a key ally. I
Yeah.
think originally it was um, twice per refresh. Had recently just changed to once per life, and I think once per life was.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a fan
Monk
of
has
craft
come
stones
a long
being
way.
yeah, that so maybe innate was not as bad as I kind of felt like it might have been. Just looking at some of the other capstone abilities, it feels underwhelming for what
It
other people
is,
get.
yeah, it is underwhelming, but I've gotten actually a decent amount of use out of it. I do remember back essentially the first part of V8. Monk did not have innate, the no archetypes,
Hmm.
and Monk didn't have banish either. That was actually,
Oh, what did Monk used to
yep.
have at level 2?
Level 2 is when you got heavy throne.
Oh,
Yeah, and
oh,
so yep, it was just first level um, was the enlightened soul and missile block. Second level was heavy throne. Third was sanctuary. Fourth was heal. Fifth was resurrect, and sixth was the magic ball block.
okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not a great list. So yeah, looking at your list now, it does seem a lot better. Okay, so yeah, following up on the, I mean, I guess not really following up, but so something that I've seen happen a lot is we'll have new players show up to park and they're told, "Oh, start just try monk," or because you don't have to do magic, or they'll tell cross gamers to play monk, and I feel like monk is an okay starter class. I don't feel like it's a good starter class because
So
uh,
I think it's okay, um, because it depends. I think the best starting class is always going to be the one that the new person is wanting to play.
yeah,
Usually, if there's a new person, I will ask them, okay, what kind of weapon do you want to use? If they say shield, like monk is out. I'm not even gonna offer it. But if I will give them, I will kind of give them the option of monk if um, the verbal magic and all of the what most new people see is just all of the yelling is overwhelming for them.
mm-hmm.
I will I will say, hey, if that overwhelms you, monk would be a good way to start out, because you ignore or are not affected by 90% of what people are
Right.
yelling at you. And most of the time, for a new person, even heat weapon or shatter weapon, people are not going to target a new person with
Right.
that. Just no, not enough threat there.
I agree
So
with
I think
that.
that's
The
yeah,
thing that
that's
I've
what
seen.
I sorry. So yeah, that's my take on monk being the like a new starter class.
Okay. The thing that I've run into multiple times, and not just here in the Rising Winds, but also out in Black Spire when I used to play out there, but the issue that I would see again and again with new players being handed monk and told you're immune to verbals, go out there and just do sword things, is that eventually they do become a threat enough that players will start to use those heat weapons and those shatter weapons and tracking, and so the I would almost argue that monk needs to know the rule book better than most classes, because most classes it's just like, oh, you got me with a spell, all right, I guess I have to do that. But monk, you have to know which spells you're vulnerable to. And
Yeah, Monk does have some weirder interactions because of uh, the magic versus extraordinary, and uh, you targeting equipment versus yourself, or even your equipment being affected, but you're still the target. Um, but I also think that uh, veteran players should be regularly interacting with those new players and teaching them as they're playing monk, so that they are still learning the rules as you
mhm.
go, but it's an easier way to kind of before uh, absorb it before you have to deal with it,
That's
instead of
fair.
just throwing someone into uh, a battle game as an armorless warrior who will get hit by every single CC ability there is.
Yeah,
Large shield, easy target for ice ball. So some people can do that, but some people learn other ways.
yeah, I'm a big fan of having people start off with what they want to be. So monk gets all melee weapons. What is your favorite weapon set to use when you're playing monk?
It will depend on what role I feel like doing.
Okay.
I started off as monk with a 7-foot polearm, and so I still really enjoy polearm. But I also, um, when I am off skirmishing on my own and fighting, I use a lot of down spear,
Okay.
and then my favorite weapon of all is a flail.
Flails are fun.
Yep, it helps me get around those shields, and not have to deal with them. And so, yeah, my common loadouts are going to be uh, down spear and flail, down spear and short, sometimes long short or long flail, and then flail and uh, polearm.
Okay.
So
Do you seed the field ahead of time with extra weapons a lot, or do you just kind of go for it?
I usually bring um, multiple weapons, and I don't seed the field beforehand. It's usually going to depend on uh, the field layout, the objective, and how uh, the other team is moving around. Um, and that will kind of determine where to place weapons.
Okay.
Sometimes it is just I go in there with Florentine, or two weapons of any combination,
Hmm.
and uh, I'll be fighting in the back line, and then I sanctuary out, and I just leave the weapons there, and I go pick up some more that I had at base or at another location on the field. And then I'll use those for a bit, and remember that hey, I left my flail and short sword out there.
Right.
So if I ever want to just sanctuary in, and they see I have no weapons walking around, I will have those
You
where I
can
know I
show
can
up and
pick them up
surprise
quickly.
them. Okay. So I wanted to talk about Sanctuary a little bit because Sanctuary is, I argue, the most unique and interesting ability that monks have is Sanctuary. So the players and their carried equipment are unaffected by hostile actions originating from within 20 feet. You have to chant Sanctuary, and you can end Sanctuary at any time by stopping chanting and declaring no longer in Sanctuary, or by picking up a weapon with their hand. So this is the like almost the best stealth ability that is in the game, I think. Like assassins have their in sub abilities, but those all have to be declared 20 feet. I return to the physical world. You just have to pick up any weapon, and you're no longer in sanctuary.
Yes, a monk in sanctuary definitely needs to have an eye on them, because at any time they could pick up a weapon. Just I think it was this past uh, Bridge Wars during just one of the non-Bridge Wars games. I went in with Sanctuary, one of my three throwing weapons that I had uh, was there, and I was in the back line. I just picked it up, threw it at someone's back. It bounced. I picked it up, threw it at another person, just with a single throwing weapon, since that's all I had.
Oh, that's
But
great.
you can take advantage of a lot of opportunities when people are not paying attention to a monk in sanctuary.
Yeah, because if I saw Monk wandering around with Sanctuary up and nothing, I'll admit I'm a little malicious. If I have the Phase Bolt, I'm going to go up and try to get him. But,
Oh yeah, it's one of the few things that can easily take out a monk in sanctuary.
well, something that sometimes people don't realize is that Phase Bolt ignores the 20-foot rule. And so you can just walk right up to him,
Yep.
give him a gentle toss, and then here's your Phase Bolt. Thanks
Yep.
for coming.
Ignores the 20-foot rule. It ignores the missile block. Yeah, they nothing they can do but run.
So yeah, okay. So yeah, Sanctuary seems like a really neat ability that you can make a lot of use out of. I like the idea that you could just throw those throwing weapons over the top of the enemy line and have a little pile over there all of a sudden. That is a fun little thing you could do. I like that. Are there any weird rules interactions with Monk outside of the Sanctuary ones?
There, even with the sanctuary rules, there's a lot of weird interactions with monk because of enlightened soul. We'll start off with sanctuary. This is one that I have recently figured out that may not be as well known. But going back to the sanctuary rule, where let's say I go into sanctuary, but I have a couple swords on my hip because they are on my person. I cannot end sanctuary except at base. However, an ally can release Sanctuary from me
Oh,
because it is an ongoing effect, and I would be a willing target. I can be released from Sanctuary and not have to go all the way back to base to end it. It's
okay.
a rules interaction that I had recently figured out. Some other weird rules interaction with the magic versus extraordinary. Like banish from a monk is extraordinary, so it'll affect a monk, but banish from a healer is magic, so therefore it does not affect a monk. Another common one, pyrotechnics. It targets the monk, but it affects the equipment. So the equipment will still be destroyed even though it's targeting the monk. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some more. I know there's more. I had one, but I decided to start with the sanctuary one, and then I
That's
forgot the other
okay.
one. I'm trying to think. There's got to be some more weird interactions. I know before the undead minion change, when undead minion made you insubstantial, any banish would affect a monk, or would trigger the wording of undead minion to
Yep.
remove the enchantment and therefore kill the monk,
And then I
even though the
think
monk wasn't affected.
they got rid of the weird interaction there with the new undead minion build, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. The new undead minion no longer uses insubstantial. It uses
I believe you're just dead.
you're actually dead, but
Yeah,
the enchantment is persistent.
back to the
Um,
healer as an alternate respawn point.
you go back. The healer gets unlimited raise dead on
Right.
you, and you are allowed to go back to the healer instead of going back to base. Or you must go back to the healer. You cannot go back to base.
I believe that is a must effect. I'd
Yeah.
have to double check. I
Oh,
could.
another one that a lot of people don't realize. Um, uh, what's it? Summon corpse.
Mm,
Summon corpse does not affect a monk, so you cannot summon the corpse of a monk unless it's at the range of touch.
okay. So if they're
So
at
I
their base, you could summon them by range of touch, bringing them back
Yep.
out. But
But out in the field, there's so many times where uh, someone will try to summon my corpse, and I'll just say immune because it doesn't affect me.
okay, that's a weird thing that happens with traits because traits are always active even after death,
Yep,
and it seems counterintuitive, but I guess that's
it
just
does.
the natural trade-off.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of weird interactions like that. Immunities will prevent you from like getting beneficial magic used on you as well.
So I want to talk about teamwork for a little bit here. What is the best way that someone can support a monk?
Enchantments is a big one,
Mhm.
especially before they got armor, 1 point of armor. And even now, if you decide to not go with the armor, you can get magic armor uh, enchantments.
Mhm.
So Iron Skin is a really good one since it gives you the immunity to flame, and so therefore you can wield your heated weapons
Yeah,
after they're heated.
that eliminates a huge
Um,
risk for monks.
yep, and then the 2 points of magic armor. Another common one is undead minion, because monks are immune to so much that they are very common uh, undead minion targets, and they didn't have a lot. They don't have a lot of offensive like active abilities. And so back when undead minion would suppress you for the entire duration of the enchantment, monks were common targets because their who best abilities were just traits, the enlightened soul and
Right.
the missile block.
And now it just suppresses you for 30 seconds from the raised dead. So monk
Yes.
can still get a lot of mileage out of their abilities, assuming they're alive for 31 seconds, which
Yeah.
most of the time isn't as big a concern as you would think.
Yeah. But even still, they can just go in, do damage, die, go back to the healer, get raised, and it's just a rinse and repeat.
And monk has a shockingly high amount of sustainability because they're the only ability that isn't rechargeable for them is the innate at level 6. Everything else is rechargeable.
Yes, everything is rechargeable, which is also why innate works very well with them because they can just instantly charge any of their abilities.
Yeah. Okay. So if you got to pick an enchantment, let's say you're working with your fighting company, they say, "Hey, what enchantment do you want? What's the one that you always are hoping to get access
So
to?"
hold on, you're cutting out.
Oh no, I
That was a
said
big chunk of audio that I didn't hear.
okay. I said, what enchantment do you always want to have? If you got to pick one enchantment from the whole list, which one is the one that you would pick?
My my go-to is the undead minion. I have always been uh, a fan of it. It was used um, very often on me, and then it also goes with my persona of being an undead. But I enjoy being able to use my abilities, my physical abilities to and stamina to run in, fight until I die, then go back to my healer, rinse and repeat. It's something uh, that I really enjoy. I don't take a lot of enchantments because of how often I or how often anyone will either die or get dispelled, and I just personally don't get a lot of mileage out of those one time enchantments, which is why I um, gravitate towards the undead minion since it is very what's the word?
Naturally
Uh,
sustainable.
yeah, sustainable.
Okay.
So if I did have to pick another one, it would probably have to be the the iron skin, just for the magic armor and the immunity to flame.
Okay. How often are you wearing that 1 point of worn armor these days?
I have not yet. I have tried armor. I have played anti-paladin. I have played scout with armor. Wearing armor for me personally is just something that is not my preferred uh, thing to do. So I have not yet. I think it's great that Monk gets the 1 point of armor. Uh, I think it's great for the class. I think it helps the base monk with uh, the more of the martial aspect
Mm-hmm.
of it and survivability. But personally, I don't just because I don't wear armor often. I am more mobile without armor. I'm cooler. I don't get hot, and so therefore I have the longer stamina to kind of do the play style that I enjoy more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I personally am fairly strongly opposed to monk having a point of armor. you're probably thinking, oh, it's because he's a wizard and everybody hates the natural enemies. But no, it's because
Uh,
of anti-paladin monk confusion. Is that a broke anti-paladin or a monk? Which one is it?
I mean, it could be argued that it, it could be a really broke anti-paladin wearing no armor.
Yes, but the it goes back to the same problem so the gray and silver sashes that are almost interchangeable are a problem I think that we have as a game, like because they are supposed to be metallic silver, but some people play fast and loose with the definition of metallic silver. And
Yeah, I understand. In a perfect world, we'd be able to, like, everyone would know what class you are.
right, we can't have those
Um,
handy dandy meta tags with our name and our class underneath.
yeah, no, like
Oh,
a human interface display,
right.
like around your vision.
It would be certainly cool if we could have that, but unfortunately, that's just not how it works.
Play
But
Amtgard in augmented reality.
that'd be pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah,
that'd be if you could if some park out there has a billionaire show up, pitch the idea, let's go. Just a whole like, hey, we're all the same nerds now. We just have ginormous goggles on, so we have the HUD for yeah. That'd be cool, kind of neat. But okay, so moving on from the armor question, let's talk about weaknesses. If you're playing as a monk, what are monks weak to?
high amounts of armor.
Okay.
Yep. Armor is a monk's biggest weakness. When I am out on the field, I am not fighting against armored targets. Um, if I see you with armor, what I have to do is one, figure out will I be able to outstick you uh, with uh, however much armor you have. And almost any warrior or paladin or anti-paladin that has maximum armor, I'm not going to. I'm not going to unless I whittle you down over like multiple minutes of poking from range,
Mm-hmm.
going in and out, and sometimes that's what it takes. I can keep an armored target busy. I can be a threat
Right.
uh, there, but most of the time, an armored target will push me out of the way from where I want to be just because I don't have uh, the
Keep up.
the abilities to get through all that armor
Right.
or any abilities. I have no offensive CC
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. So armor is the biggest counter to monk, especially again 3 points or more. Barbarian, scout, paladin, anti-paladin, and warrior.
Okay. Are there any like nifty tricks for overcoming that weakness other than just get good?
With um, with monk, since you have the enlightened soul, you can be there and be a threat. I didn't get Paragon Monk for uh, uh, being able to fight really well and outstick people. So I had to just use my battlefield awareness and positioning to be a threat that you have to keep an eye on, and that's usually how I take care of that armor. I will like a paladin or anti paladin can't awe or tear me away,
Mm.
um, and so I will be just right there for when you either look away or have to turn and do something else, or just be a threat going towards an objective.
Earlier,
Yeah.
you mentioned you sometimes use a 7 foot pole. Is that an armor breaking shield crushing pole or is it a speed pole?
It is neither.
Oh.
It is a band shot pole,
Mm-hmm.
so it's heavy, but it does not have the heavy padding uh, for it to be shield crushing.
Okay.
So it is suboptimal, but it was my first weapon, and I enjoy it. At some point, I keep telling myself that I will uh, just adapt it to give it that shield crushing, but I haven't done so yet.
Okay. Yeah. So, some more generalized battle gaming questions here. How does Monk play differently from a Kingdom Field when you're at your local park?
Monk in general, it really comes down to the game
Hmm.
and the players. I play very differently um, at Park than at Kingdom. I feel like at Park, I am more aggressive. I am doing more skirmishing and flanking, and then at and then at Park, there's almost at least at Stormbridge, there's not really a lot of line fighting. There's usually just not enough people uh, to make a line. A field is bigger than the number of people, and so it's easier to flank and have those skirmishes. On a kingdom field, I am doing usually less killing and more either objective or um, harassment
Okay.
on a field. Because the field is bigger, I can go more unnoticed and I can pull attention away from key areas. And that's usually how I play at Kingdom. Or if I'm playing uh, um, the medium monk, I will uh, do that midline healer type role. In the midline
Okay.
healing and resurrect.
Okay. So that's a really good answer. I like that. Okay. So, what is the minimum gear that I need if I want to play Monk?
I think the minimum gear. I mean, the minimum gear is you could be effective with monk with a single either a single pole or two short swords. You can do something um, because you have some uh, abilities as well, but really optimally minimal um, is probably going to be a couple short swords in case some get heated or you have to drop some somewhere. And then the 1 point of armor is real nice for baseline monk. So it just helps with your survivability when you're fighting out there.
Okay. What does the
Uh,
bougie kit look like?
the bougie kit. Ideally, you have. Let's see. You bring all the weapons out. You bring a speed pole. You bring a shield crushing pole. You have a couple flails. You got four short swords, a couple long swords. Recently, I got to try out a double-ended longsword,
Oh,
and I am going to be building one for kind of a build that I do. But and then a down spear. You're going to have. Did I say throwing weapons?
you haven't
Yeah,
mentioned
five,
throwies yet.
five. Yeah, yeah, 5 to 10 heavy thrown.
Okay.
And it what has really helped me is to wield these weapons or
Okay.
carry these weapons on you. Um, uh, Saladin's uh,
His
belt.
carrying units, yeah.
Yeah, those are great. That way, I can have two weapons on my hip and two weapons in my hand, or a pole in my hand and two weapons on my hip. Um, uh, there have been some other ones that have been made, sword clips, like Haliax or
Hmm.
TB have made with that plastic material that I don't really know what it is, but or the back holster.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like
Um,
that.
yep. Um, that is really great to have as a monk because the more weapons you have and the versatility of being able to switch between different loadouts
Hmm.
quickly is real nice.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to talk about the archetypes a little bit. Do you have you got to play them enough to have strong feelings about them?
Yes, I actually just recently, the past couple weeks, played Mystic for the first time.
Okay. Well, let's
Um,
start with
yep.
Mystic. So, Mystic is an archetype for Monk. They gain 4 bolts per life and two or per life.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
gonna redo that?
Can you tell it's been a long day?
Yeah.
Yes. So Mystic is a monk archetype. They get four force bolts and two suppression balls, but they can't have great weapons or heavy thrown. Tell me about that playstyle a little bit.
So since they can't have greats, that is where my idea for the double-ended long comes
Mm-hmm.
in, because it is a great, not actually great, but is really good at uh, being a defensive uh, weapon. Essentially, a monk shield
Mm-hmm.
is a down spear is often called. It's a monk shield, but since you can't have a great weapon, that double-ended long really helps with that. And the playstyle has been a very ranged, harassing uh, kind of playstyle. I've had uh, success with having that ranged threat of force bolts or
Mm-hmm.
um, the utility of a suppression bolt to take out um, a like suppress a healer or suppress a wizard, or that force bolt to um, break weapons of um, a a paladin or anti-paladin,
Mm-hmm.
um, or assassin that's using Florentine. I'm still new to it, but that's how I see Mystic right now.
Okay.
Um, One thing I think that is weird is that Mystic still gets 1 point of armor.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So I don't think Mystic should get 1 point of armor, and I think since they're going to be that hybrid caster, I think they should get greats. Um, but yeah, I don't know if great giving them great would be too broken, but
I
I think
feel
it'd be
like
something to
the it's
try.
almost a safety thing because if you're throwing stuff, I don't necessarily want you to have a pole arm,
I think
but
it's easier because you only have one weapon, and so then you can take
oh,
one
I could see
hand
that.
away to throw,
Okay.
um, and then grab the weapon again. Whereas if you're Florentine, you have to put one weapon away to pull out
You know,
the force bolt, or just always only have one weapon in your hand.
right. And now that I have said that out loud and sound like an idiot, I'm remembering that Pole Druid is an entire build where they just have the Force Bolt or the Ice Ball in their hand when they're doing pole things. I'm like,
Yep,
here's a totally unusable thing that people are using all the time.
yep. But
Yeah.
I think it would be the default to go to, so I don't know if it should be, but I don't think they should have armor. So armor should just be base monk only.
Okay. So you're
That's
arguing
my
that they
take.
should get great weapons back, but lose that point of armor, and
Hmm.
then they get the Force Bolts and the suppression. Okay, I can see that. On the flip side, if we look at medium, medium is a monk archetype. They gain blessing against wounds, a range of touch, one per life. They get sever spirit once per life, recharge times three, swift two per life, and abilities in the spirit school become charged times three. So that would be their heal, their resurrect, and
Their
those
their
drop
banish
down.
and their sever spirit, which are already charge
Yeah.
times three.
Only
Well,
thing,
banish is charge times five
yeah.
normally.
So banish goes down to charge times three. Resurrect goes down to charge times three.
Yep.
Their their sever spirit was already charge times three.
And heal was already charge times
Right.
three.
And so they may not wear armor and they may not wield great weapons.
Hmm.
And the blessing against wounds feels kind of weird. Like I wouldn't expect monk to be giving out enchantments.
I think just a simple blessing against wounds is
Mm-hmm.
fine, but I often don't give it to anyone. I often do it for myself.
I'm just looking at the wiki. Is it touch self slash other or is it just
It is just touch, which means it can be self or others.
okay? That's what I missed there. So that makes sense,
Yep.
especially because you don't do even well. That can stack on top of armor, but this archetype can't wear armor. So
Yeah. So that's why the blessing against wounds is nice because
yeah,
you have that you're the one mistake for your
yeah.
life.
Getting Sever
And
Spirit feels really strong. Can you tell me a little bit about this archetype? How does it play?
it could play two ways. You could do the midline uh support where you're going through with you probably Florentine or maybe you're doing more ranged and using or no, can you use heavy thrown? Double check.
They
Yeah, the other
can.
one,
They do get
yeah,
heavy thrown still.
yeah, it's Mystic that doesn't get heavy thrown. But yeah, using heavy thrown at ranged and being there to heal
Hmm.
or bring like resurrect people, or you could play just a very selfish way of uh, doing your Florentine skirmishing um, and keeping the blessing of wounds for yourself for when you're fighting.
Right.
Using swift heal to heal yourself instantly if you get wounded.
Right.
Uh,
Makes sense.
that's the kind of two ways it could play. You could either use it uh, selfishly to keep yourself sustained longer uh, on the field, or you can use it to like heal and resurrect allies.
Okay. It feels like it could push it either way on that support to offense scale. Okay.
Mm.
That's a good archetype. I think that that seems mostly balanced there. Going back to our questions, I want to shift over and talk about paragons because you are obviously you're a paragon because you're on the Paragon interview.
Yeah.
But so these questions are to you as a paragon, spectating people who are not paragons. So, what is something that a player playing as a monk can specifically do to stand out to the paragon board?
A lot of people play monk for just uh, the traits, and so already if you are uh, banishing people or you are especially resurrecting people, that is one way to really stand out as a monk. Yeah, using those abilities, and I think with the archetypes, that monk is getting more abilities to use,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think that's a good thing. And so
Leaning into the
that's
ability.
yeah, that's one way to stand out as a monk. The other way, which is the way I feel like I guess people saw me, uh, was one using abilities and two just being that harassing presence that you have to take out via melee.
Okay.
Um, is 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 what I see.
Be the devious melee problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. What is some advice you would give someone who's level one starting out monk? Let's say that there's someone that's leveled another class, they're shifting into monk. What advice would you give them?
Let's see. Advice I would give someone who is switching over to monk. Well, if they're coming from another class and they're not like a brand new person, so advice for someone just starting out as monk would probably be that field awareness positioning, um, because you have not as much uh, defensive melee defensive abilities. You don't have a lot of armor or sometimes no armor. It would be know your targets. Um, what targets you're going to be looking for out on the field. You don't need to fight against an armored person. Get a friend who can fight against the armored person for you that either has armor themselves or a caster who can take care of them with magic. Go for your go against the casters. Is usually your prime targets or lone or low armored targets. So yeah, that'd be the starting off one, and then the other one would be yeah, heal. Remember, you can heal yourself. There's always going to probably be, at least at a kingdom level, always going to be someone that you can banish. Most of the time at a kingdom level event, there's always going to be someone you can resurrect. But repeat the question again.
What advice would you give someone that wants to go from level 6 to Paragon?
I would probably, I think, because monk is all like has that enlightened soul, um, and I keep coming back to it. Is the positioning and field awareness, getting into a position where you can be a threat, whether you act on that, being great stick, going in and fighting, or if you don't have as great of of stick skill.
Mhm.
You can still be a a threat in the area, and you can still be effective um, that way. So
So, completely different type of question now. Have you ever taken on an apprentice?
let's see. I haven't really. There's been a few uh, people, but no, I haven't asked anyone, and no one has asked me. So no official apprenticeship. But I have always given advice to people who want it.
Sure. Is that
Yeah.
something you'd be open to? Say someone out there, sort of local, has seen this video and they want more advice from you. Is that something that you'd be open to in a potential situation?
Yeah, I will definitely answer any questions and help them. For an apprenticeship, it will depend on the person and the situation. But I'm always open to uh, answering questions or giving advice outside of an apprenticeship.
What are you working on now? You're a monk. You're a paragon. You might be happy with that. What is your current Amtgard goal that you're working towards?
I Not really working on anything. I have dabbled in some other classes. I have done like bow scout or sword and shield scout. I've done bow assassin. I tried barbarian, but I just keep coming back to monk, and especially with the new archetypes, it's just different ways to play my favorite class, and so that's really what I've been doing. I've hit level 6 in all the classes that I want to, and so right now I'm just still signing in as monk because that's just the my favorite class, the class I enjoy. So short term right now, um, I'm dabbling more with mystic because I didn't think I would enjoy it as much because I don't really deal with spell balls, but uh, mystic has been pretty fun. So short term, uh, dabbling more around with mystic monk.
So we're down to our final two questions, and they're easy ones, I promise. Is it okay for people to come up and talk shop with you at events?
Oh yeah. So I am very uh, very talkative. I love the social interaction of events, um, in in battle games, outside of battle games, online. Yeah, anyone can find me, hit me up, talk shop, ask questions. I will do my best to answer with the knowledge and experience I have.
Do you have any final advice before we turn you loose?
Play what you enjoy. Just that would be my biggest thing. Or just in Amtgard, do what you enjoy. If you enjoy the battle games, if you enjoy a specific playstyle or uh, um, running for office or um, any, just do what you enjoy. No need to put any pressure on yourself to do anything specifically if you're not enjoying it.
Well, if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching and being part of the channel here. Please be sure to subscribe for more battle gaming content coming soon. A special thank you to Rygan for coming on the show tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about Monk. I feel like I've learned a lot about the class. And if you have any questions for Rygan, please leave them down in the comments section. And I promise I'll bug him to come and answer some of them if we get any really good ones. Until next time, I will see you in the next video.
Thank you.